Hey everyone, and welcome to the biggest build I've ever attempted. But before we get into the weeds of the hows and the whys, I'd just like to take a minute to disagree with this popular opinion that all men think about all day is ancient Rome. That's not true at all. Some of us think about ancient Egypt. And there are some men who think about ancient Greece, but they're just geeks. Well, some of them are just Greeks, I guess. But this is about ancient Egypt, so I'll be peppering this video with good little tidbits of information, enough bits of tits to tilt your allegiances from those smelly Romans to the mighty Egyptians. I mean seriously, we got mummies and magic. What do they have? Pooping in groups and losing to a bunch of goths? Come on. I began my build with 2 of the Pyramid of the Giza sets and 4 base plates, not thinking about how big this was actually going to turn out to be. I thought about having one pyramid dead center, but quickly pivoted away from that because I knew I had another unfinished pyramid underneath this one. I decided to have something like this going on with the pyramid on either side of the river. I know it's not how it actually is, but I couldn't have both pyramids on one side. It just looks stupid, wouldn't it? I worried people might confuse it with the ocean, and I do not want anyone to be in denial if that is denial. I didn't have to find and place all my plates down to get an idea if I even had enough to cover the whole ground. Turns out, no, I did not have enough. What you see here is pretty much all I could find. But that didn't stop me. I would just have to cover up with some grey plates and hope future me comes up with a solution for the problem. That guy hates me. One thing I discovered when building something this large is most of the time I just found myself thinking, do I have enough for that? And more often than not, I did not. But I just had to keep going and hope I'd figure out a solution later on in the process. And with everything going on here, especially wanted the riverbank to be right this time, because I've done this a couple times before and I should really be nailing this. I even thought I was humble and only built it 1 brick tall, so pretty much just 3 plates for the embankment. But it was still 3 plates for the whole river on both sides. That's a little bit more than 2 base plates. And there was no way I had enough curves for that. But I don't know, man, I just really wanted to nail that riverbank. Well, while he's thinking about nailing riverbanks, let me tell you a story of how the pharaoh would honor the god of creation Atum and bless the land and the crops by coming in a sacred fertility ritual into the Nile. Every spring, the pharaoh would come in a sacred fertility ritual into the Nile. I mean, was that really necessary? The crops were doing fine, they invented irrigation. But the pharaoh did, and I began doubting if I could ever finish this build. I suspected I had enough to finish it, but I wasn't sure if I had enough right pieces to finish it. So just to be safe, I began from the edges and just spread it out until I could tighten it up with more and more houses, or probably more likely leaves, which hopefully look like trees. And I began getting pretty chuffed with the build. All I left was this large bare area by the foot of the pyramid, and I did not know what to put here, but I knew it had to be something grand. And it took me longer than it should have to get there, but I eventually got there and I made a Sphinx. The head is a bit flat and dopey looking, but generally the shape is there. And that's still my level and where I would judge myself. If you can tell what it is, it's a pass. So here it is in all its glory, ancient Egypt, in micro form, and may Shite bless this with long life. Let's have a closer look at the build. I like how I carried over the half-built pyramid so you can see into the tunnels and how they're building it. It's pretty much the same tunnels with a few extra carved out here or there. And I like the ropes and the pulleys, but I wish I put in a crane with a bucket you can pull up and down or something.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Most of the houses are from the original build or close copies with a few variations, but then again you also have some of this going on. A chef's hat for a dome and a safari hunter hat, and there's a few others hidden here and there. And some of them surprisingly work quite well. But then again you also got a beard in a tower here, which And finally we have by the foot of the pyramid this grand entrance, which also looks like it's made by a madman. I mean, the pillars are way too thick. There is a nice use of beard right here, I'd say, but generally speaking, square and boring. I also kept some of the original pyramids and macro sphinxes, for dexterity. But that is my build in its grandeur, and it took a while, but it looks good. I'd give it a pretty decent grade. But like all good things, it must come to an end. So here are the 3 choices you can choose. How should I end this city? I'm just kidding, we don't have the technology for that yet. So I'm just gonna have to show you all 3. And you can just skip right ahead to your favorite apocalypse, you weirdo. That'll be it for me this time. As always, you have a lovely day, and I'll see you later. Cheers, bye.